Welcome to Lessons from Life, the podcast that gleans profound life lessons from everyday life stories.
Hosted by Dustin, Fenton, and Brandon Hill.
Today we have a former exchange student of mine, Luca Reichmann, with us, who is calling in from Germany. Luca, where do you live in Germany?
I live in the south of Germany. I live right on the Swiss-German border at the Lake of Constance.
Okay, wonderful. When I visited Luca a couple of years ago, literally you can walk across this old wooden covered bridge from Germany right into Switzerland. It's a beautiful place to be. So Luca, here's a story I want to see if you remember. When you first flew in to visit us, we were bringing you from the airport to our house, and you asked me a question. Do you remember what that question was, by any chance?
I asked if there are any beers in Indiana.
Yeah, and I was really confused. I'm like, are there beers in Indiana? I mean, I know you're coming. I know you're coming from Germany, but of course we have beer in Indiana. And you said, no, beers. And then you said, like Goldilocks and the Three Beers. And all of a sudden I realized that you meant bears. And it's easy to understand how you can make that mistake, because you think about, you spell F-E-A-R, that's fear, and H-E-A-R, that's here. And so it makes sense that B-E-A-R would mean beer. But I got a kick out of that, and just goes to show how confusing English can be sometimes. All right, Luca, thanks for that fun story. I understand you have another story that you want to share with us.
Yes. Okay, so 3 years ago, I moved out of the house of my parents and I went to university. And I had more free time because no one could tell me what to do or when to be in school, when to be in high school, or when to leave. So I wanted to use that time and I wanted to do some sports again. And I wanted to do some boxing or maybe kickboxing. And I was looking at a couple of gyms. And a friend of mine, he was doing MMA. He was doing mixed martial arts. And he said, well, Luca, why don't you come and take a look and have a workout with us and train with us, and then you can maybe see if it's fun for you. So I did that, and the first training was so much fun that I said, all right, this is what I'm gonna do. And it was so much fun. And I thought that I knew how to fight because, I don't know, I could fight in a bar, so I can fight in training. But it was so much different, and I was getting beat up by 14-year-old kids that weighed about half of what I was weighing. And I thought, well, this is so crazy because this has nothing to do with like street brawl or anything like that.
Right.
But it was so much fun that I just stuck to it, and I went to the gym maybe 3 or 4 times a week. And then I had my first sparring. You know what sparring is?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so it's not like a fight, but it's close to a real fight, but you don't give 100%. And the first time I was bleeding and I was getting beat up by, again, 14-year-old kids because I didn't know how to fight. Still, I had a lot of fun, and I think it was the second sparring. And somewhere in the second or third round of sparring, and I still didn't know how to fight, and I was wide open, my hands were spread apart, and I was just not covering my face, and my sparring partner, he took the chance, he hit me in the ribcage so hard that I was going down immediately, and I knew that something was wrong. I couldn't breathe, and I have almost never felt a pain that bad before. And I was on the floor whimpering like a, little child, and I was crawling out of the ring, and they kept training, but I knew, okay, this is not good. So I kind of went to the side, and they were going, and I didn't want to interrupt the training because I was seeing guys getting knocked down, and after 1 or 2 minutes they just got back up. But for me, this wasn't the case, and I really knew that something either was broken or my organs were not right. So we called the ambulance, but I was too proud to admit that I was in so much pain that I could not really stand upright. And I was walking out of the gym, and I told the ambulance that they should come across the street from the gym. It was a very extremely busy road, and it was a very, very big intersection. And it was raining, it was night, so it was dark outside. And under severe pain, I waited on this intersection that the ambulance could get me. And right when they arrived, they had the sirens on, and I could see him, and I was like, oh my goodness, finally the ambulance comes and they're gonna, I don't know, take me to the emergency room, because I was in so much pain, and I didn't tell anyone of the gym members, so I just went there by myself. And as they were arriving, a guy on the street tried to cross the street at a red light, and he was run over by a car right in front of me, and he was hit so bad that he went 20 meters away, or 30 meters was, that's where he fell on the ground. And he fell down pretty much right in front of the ambulance that actually arrived for me. And I was like, what is going on? And of course people came, and the traffic kind of stopped. He almost got run over again, because it was just so much traffic there, and cars in the cities are going much faster than they should be. And the ambulance was right there, and I told them, I kind of waved to them, told them, well, there was a guy just hit by a car. And so they went there, and he was on the ground kind of shaking, kind of having a seizure, I guess, and he was not conscious. So, and they went there, and they could just pretty much save him, because they were right there, and they took him to the hospital. And of course another ambulance had to come to get me, and I went to the hospital. I didn't see him there, so they probably took him somewhere else. Yeah, that is pretty much the story I had to tell.
Oh my goodness, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
You were kind of hurt, and he was really badly hurt, and the ambulance happened to be there at the right time for him. So you end up being okay, or what happened with you?
I was under severe pain for a couple days. My roommate, he had to help me shower and get out of my shirt. It was nothing broken. It was a very, very what's it called? A bruise?
A bad bruise, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds not bad, but they said it's actually worse than a broken rib, because you can't do anything.
Right.
And it took me about 6 weeks to recover from that.
So what life lessons do you think we might be able to pull out of this story?
Oh, that is a good question. Maybe sometimes things are just at the right time, at the right place.
Yeah.
I've thought about it many times, because I pretty much think that this saved this guy, maybe not his life, but saved him a lot of pain, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I think there's a lot of times in life when we have something little happening to us that just seems terrible.
Yep.
There are much worse things happening to other people around us.
Yep. Yep.
I think also sometimes the bad things that happen to us may be for a greater purpose. So, for example, if that pain had not been caused to you and you hadn't called the ambulance, there wouldn't have been one there when he needed it, and maybe those couple of minutes would have meant life or death. And so sometimes I think we have to be thankful for the pain that we have, because the lessons we learn, but we may not also understand the bigger picture that's playing around it.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes I think that we may also never know the bad things that could have happened to us that didn't happen to us.
Yep.
And we feel miserable when there is something bad happening, but we don't know the bigger, worse thing that might have happened. You drop something at breakfast and make a mess, and it slows you down 2 minutes to clean it up, and you get to work 2 minutes late. But maybe if you were on time, something else would have happened.
Yep. Could have saved your life. Yeah.
Right. We had a friend when we were in South Africa who was a security guard for a bank, and he delivered cash deposits between 2 different banks. And one day he was at work and something crazy was happening, and he was going to be late with his delivery. and he started running so that he wouldn't be late, and a bomb went off just a couple of blocks away from where he was. And if he had been on time, he would have been standing right where that bomb had gone off. And
oh, wow.
So you never know. And I think part of life is being satisfied with where you are at and what's happening with you, and not wishing for other things, because those other things actually might be worse for you.
Yeah, that's right. You can never plan anything, or, to 100%.
Right.
You never know.
Well, that's a great story, Luca. I did not know that had happened to you. And if we could figure out who that person was sometime and see what the story was.
So I thought about it many times, but I'm not sure if I can find him. I haven't told many people actually this story.
Wow.
I also think he was kind of not homeless, but like a drug addict. I'm not sure, because this was a place where they gathered and kind of hang around.
So he may not have a lot of people that would have been there to support him.
No.
Well, Luca, thanks for sharing that story, and thanks for agreeing to meet with me. We're on a 6-hour time difference.
No problem. It was fun.
Spend time with you, and we certainly care about you a lot, and wish you the best.
Thank you. I wish the best for you too, Brandon.
All right. Take care, Luca.
Take care. Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks for listening to Lessons from Life. We hope that you have learned a lesson today that will help you to be more fulfilled in life's journey. If you were inspired by today's episode, please subscribe and review. You can find Lessons from Life at lessonsfromlifeforyou.com. That is with the number 4 and the letter U. You can also find links to all of our social media on our website. We would love to hear the valuable lessons that you have learned from your life experiences.